Hey guys, Pastor Ken here, and it's week 2 of our 21 days of prayer and fasting. I just encourage you to stay strong, stay committed, go all the way through. God's going to do something amazing in and through your life if you just give Him the time and opportunity. And so in week 2, we're talking about restoring structure or creating it for our lives. And so today I want to talk to us about keeping the Lord's Day holy. Exodus 20 and verse 8 says, "Remember the Sabbath by keeping it holy." Sabbath in Hebrew is the word Shabbat, and it means to cease, to stop, to rest. In a work of creation, the Bible tells us in Genesis 2 and 3, by the seventh day God had finished the work that He had been doing, and on the seventh day He rested from all His work. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, because He rested from all His work of creating that He had done. See, God Shabbated. He rested from all His work. God rested not because He was tired. He rested from His work, declaring the seventh day as holy. In other words, it was set apart. He was establishing a rhythm for humanity. The pattern was simple. Work for 6 days, living out in productivity that God enabled and empowered us to glorify Him through. But then, stop. Shabbat on a day and enjoy God, creation, and the gift of life that He provided. Shabbat means remembering. It's when we remember that God is the creator, the provider, the one who sustains us. And it would be an act of humility. It's a reminder that God is the one who's in charge, that we were created by Him and for Him. And so taking the time to enjoy Him, His creation, and all of the wonderful things that He's provided for our life in relationships and connections, it's in those ways that we show worship to God and dependence upon Him. And it's a reminder that everything comes from God, who provides all things for us in everything. Shabbat means trusting. It teaches us to rely on God. We don't live by our own efforts alone. God provides. Stopping our efforts reminds us that we live under God's provision and His faithfulness. Shabbat means freedom. It's that we are no longer slaves to our jobs. God had delivered Israel from slavery in Egypt, where they worked 7 days a week. God teaches that through the Shabbat, that work means that it's not an end for our lives. Our work is designed to be a blessing from God for productivity and a way to glorify Him. But our work is not all that we are. God creates us for who we are, and we have the opportunity to rest and cease from our work and be reminded that we don't live under a burden, but we can enjoy the goodness of God. Shabbat means delighting in God. The Shabbat was God's design for a time of renewal, relationship, joy, delight, and worship. Jesus shared the heart of God in His design for the Sabbath. When Jesus said, "The Sabbath was made for man, and not man for the Sabbath," it means it was a gift, a time of restoration, mercy, and joy. So why is that important? Because it protects us from the tendency to be driven from the exhaustion that it can create by being driven by our work. God built rhythm into creation. Rest is not optional for a healthy living. Ignoring it can be at our own peril. Shabbat is God's antidote for the hectic pace of the life that we get so often caught up in. It recenters our identity. Shabbat reminds us that we are not what we do. We are human beings, not human doings. We are God's beloved children. We are worth more to God than we can imagine. And so our worth doesn't come from what we do, but from who we are. And what we do and accomplish is just the means to glorify God because of who we are. Thirdly, Shabbat or Sabbath, it reminds us that we are loved. Stopping our work creates space for worship, reflection, prayer, and to enjoy our family and enjoy God's creation. to realign our priorities and to keep God first. And lastly, it teaches us to trust. Choosing to stop, especially when life is busy, is a declaration of dependence, a statement of faith that God is in control, that we're not. And it gives us a rest in our body and in our relationship. See, it was meant as a time of restoration, of peace, of rejuvenation, of recharging our inner man to fulfill all that God had for us. So where does this stand with you? Do you practice the Sabbath? If not, why not make the effort this year to establish a practice, to enjoy the gift God designed for us? God rested on the seventh day. Do we think that we are better than Him? I pray that each of us would take this to heart and maybe take the opportunity to realize, can I practice a Sabbath? God bless you.